Hey, hey, hey. Hey, y'all. Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Monday, Monday, Monday. It's Monday, y'all. How are you? Hey, Melissa. Hey, hey, I see y'all. Hey, my sisters. Oh, I said I was going to try not to talk with my hands today because I did not spend this weekend doing my nails, y'all. If you know me, you know, I usually on Wednesday or the weekend, I'll redo my nails. And I didn't. And that was part of my self-care. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And the other part is I needed to finish my laundry. So I was like, laundry or sit down and do nails. So that wasn't gonna happen. So I'm gonna try not, y'all know I talk with my hands. I'm already doing it. So if you just look, struggle bus, it's struggle bus today. They'll be done tonight and they'll be good. So how y'all doing, my sisters? Listen, completely random. I was sitting here thinking last night, I was like, wait a minute. They came up with some really, she said, that's my business, because that's my business. I was thinking that y'all had came up with some really good names for y'all, our us as a family, as a supporter. Those of you that know, I'm y'all sister in y'all head, but y'all are definitely my sisters in my head because my mom should be chiming in soon, but y'all, she didn't give me a sister. And I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it. But especially now that I have my community, my sisters, I'm a little bit over it a little bit more. But y'all came up with so many good names. Drop them down below. I don't want to be a mob. I don't want to be a squad. Melissa's whatever, or we could just be sisters. That's all we could be. It is what it is. But drop them if you remember what they were, because I was thinking about it. Anyway, yeah. So it's Monday. How have y'all been doing? So I want to get on this topic because I want to end this live, and then I want to just really talk about just life real quick because it's so much going on. And I'm telling you, I've talked to at least 3 different people that are feeling extremely overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed in some cases. And I want to get into that. And I want to give us a space to just kind of talk about it. If it's COVID, we want to talk about, if it's this war, if it's all what the hell is going on, whatever, I want to give us that space. So after this live where we're talking about caregiving and all of that, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about just life, y'all. I want to know how y'all doing. I want to make sure y'all are coping. I want to, because it is a lot of crap going on. So I've been watching your live videos, had no idea this was you. Chantel Thomas Wilson, you know me? Tell me what you mean by that. But anyway, so tell me, let's get through the caregiver conversation and then we'll have our sister conversation. Because I honestly want to make sure everybody's okay. Anxiety is on, who was I watching? Ricky Smiley was talking about it this morning, how his anxiety is on a 59. I think we're all just dealing, right? We're just dealing. Chantel, how I know you? I don't know. Tell me, girl. Anyway, yes, it's me, I think. So anyway, y'all know how I do before we get into the subject, and then we'll check on each other, like I said, after this live. But this is a very important live. I really, I was requested to have this conversation about a month ago. And I was hoping that the person didn't think that I was ignoring them because Chantel Thomas, okay, Lord, I'm old. I don't even, girl, email me or something, or Instagram or Facebook. So I know. From Norland? Anyway, I don't want to do that. Chantel, we're not doing that. We're going to do it. We'll do it, but on the next live. This is kind of an important live. They all are important, but I want to get this subject out. So anyway, the person emailed me and they was like, hey, Melissa, can we talk about being caregivers? And I was like, bingo. I thankfully, knock on wood, have not been a caregiver beyond caring for children, caring for foster children, caring for my family. But I do know, and I'm very close to individuals that, yeah, we'll talk about it later, that have cared for their adult children, their sisters, all of that. So, yeah, it's important. It's huge. So I want to make sure that we give this topic justice. And also I don't see the person in here, and I won't acknowledge when they come, because when y'all ask me to talk about things, unless you really want it to be public, you guys know you can email me and we'll talk about it. So if you don't know, let me put my email. It is melissabarian0@gmail.com. So if you want to request a subject or topic, have a question, you definitely can put it in the chat. If not, email me. We'll talk about it. So anyway, let's get our hellos out the way, and then let's jump right into the topic. Hopefully that person will log on. If not, they'll catch the feedback, the replay. So anyway, Monica Pierce, good to see you. Hey, my sister. Hey. I am so glad that you decided to join me again. I really, really appreciate it. All y'all. Just me, Mod Extraordinaire. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for always being there for me, even when I don't text you like you asked me to let you know that I'm going live, but you just right here, and I love it. Royalty Queen, front and center, on deck, per usual. Love it. Honestly, I can literally go down the list and say that about all y'all. Y'all be here, and I love it. It may be little to some people, it may be minute, and it may not be whatever, but I'd rather have people that are supporters and here and faithful, and you guys contribute, you talk, all of that. I'd rather have 10 of you, 50, 100 of you doing that versus 100 thousands of haters or people that aren't going to interact. I like interaction. I love that. So who else? Sunshine Shishi is back. Of course, like I said, I literally can say the same thing for the next 5 people that I'm going to say. Thank you hugely for your support. Not just financial, but just moral support. I love the fact that when I'm planning these lives and I'm coming on, that y'all are here. I'm here for it. Pam, I am. Same thing. Hey, girl. Hey. And I love the fact that y'all say hi to each other. Hey, Chantel Thomas. Girl, I think I know who you are. But I'm the worst. I'm the worst at remembering. You got hey, Monica. Good to see you. Good evening. Hey, girl. Hey, I hope you had a good day. I was thinking about you. I'm the weirdo in the room where, once you guys, as we're getting to know each other, I really do think about you guys, especially as COVID is running rampant as it is. And I know where some of you work and all of that. Just know that I am praying for you, for your protection, your continued protection, because it can't touch you. Hey, Ruby King. Hello, everyone. She says, hope all is well. All is well. All is well. I am not a complainer. I have nothing to complain about, but if I did, other than the fact that after my 2 lives, I got to go to the gym, y'all. I'm going to the gym. So, because that's my business. These old broke down nails is just my business. I'm okay for it. I'm okay. I'm here. I'm doing my daughter's hair for school. Time is 7:03 p.m. Oh, so she's starting school. She started school. School's going well. Good. Praying for protection for all of our children. I know a huge group of kids aren't going back until after Labor Day. So that's going to be good. That's going to be good. So we're just praying. She says, Melissa and the sisters chat and chew. Love it. Chat and chew. Because y'all know two of my favorite things, chatting and chewing. So absolutely. I've been watching your videos, had no idea this was you. Chantel, it's me, girl. It's me. So then we caught up with each other. And then Lakeisha, again, thank you for always coming back. Thank you, y'all. Even when y'all miss it and catch the replay, and then y'all text me, and I'm sitting in the bed at night, and I get the notification, hey, so-and-so just logged in and made a comment. I try to comment back. I do not take these things lightly at all. Looking cute. Thank you. I'm very relaxed. All of a sudden, it just got hot in here. I don't know. Can you hit? Perfect. Could you hit that? Oh, okay. My mom, you could have said this. So my mom is a caretaker, have caretaked and everything else. And I told her, I said, get online because this is your subject. I'm talking about this by proxy, but you have lived this. And she goes, so she must have texted me, but I have on my do not disturb. So she texted my daughter and she was like, tell your mom. And she left a cute little note that they're working on her cable at her house. So we'll call her. If something comes up, I know that a lot of you guys are providing private care, and we're just going to have this conversation. It's so important. Pam, I am. Hey, Monica. So this is the part that I like, when you guys begin to speak to one another and give each other shout outs and stuff like that. Coach Hicks is back. Coach Central is back. Yo, what's up? I'm just giving all the government name. And again, you guys, I'm a caregiver for 12 years. I'm private. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So this is your live, girl. Help me out. Help me out. Help me out. So, like I said, this subject came about. Oh, before we get on business, you guys asked, and I am delivering. This Thursday, we're going to have Kiera Taplin, founder of Healing Footprints LLC. She is a blessing. It's her ministry. You guys wanted to talk about infant/child loss. I wanted to make sure that I gave that subject all the respect that it needed. And y'all already know, if you know me, I'm not going to BS you. If I don't know about that, because like I said, I know the closest thing to child loss is a very early term, I keep saying abortion in my head, but miscarriage that I had. And I'm not even going to pretend that it affected me the way that it would affect some of you guys that have actually lost children and everything. Now, I know plenty of people that have gone to term and had to give birth to stillbirth children, all of that. But again, tune in Thursday, same time, same bat channel. Kiera is the one. I'm telling y'all, she will be here on Thursday. And I like the fact that if you're like, oh, well, I'm not tuning in because it didn't happen to me or whatever. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. It has not happened to you. But what if it happens to somebody that you know? I'm sure she's going to give us a lot of tools to what not to say, what to do, all of that. So tune in Thursday. You do not want to miss it. This woman is, I've seen her put on, she has a foundation. She does talks every year. She has this brunch that she has. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Don't want to miss out. So she will be here. Let's see. So again, Michelle says she's been a caregiver, and working long hours can be a bit burnout. And that's what we're talking about today. Hey, Smooth Talk. Hey, beautiful. Hello to all the beautiful ladies. Y'all, let's get started. So Monica says, I'm 40. I've been in direct care industry since I was 19. Wow. One thing I will say is when I worked in assisted living facility with 15 psych patients round the clock, I had caregiver burnout. Wow. Wow. You just said a mouthful with all of that. Direct care, very young, 15 psych patients around the clock, burnout's going to come. Now, I want to say this. I did want to say this. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Michelle. And please, please, please continue to chime in, because I know, like I said, y'all know this is just not me talking at y'all. Y'all are going to have way more to add, okay, to the conversation. But I also wanted to say, caregiver burnout, yes, deals with patients and disabilities and all of that. But the things that we're going to talk about, the points that I'm coming up with, they will apply to you as a child, as having children or caring for someone. All of this applies. You can get burnout as a teacher. So let's talk about it. So, but now I'm in a nursing / rehabilitation facility. And true, I work a lot of days, but I'm not as stressed. Yeah, Monica, and I can hear it. Every time you talk about your job, you don't come off as, I'm so tired, I'm burnt out, I can't stand this, none of that. So I appreciate that. Wanda's popping in. Hello, Wanda. We're just now getting the conversation started. You haven't missed the thing. 12 years with mentally challenged patients. Nice, nice, nice. Wow, says Sunshine Shishi. Awesome. So if something comes up, we will call mom, but you guys got it. And we'll talk about it. So anyway, I've already gave the caveat that, we're not just talking about patients or when someone's ill or whatever. Like, you can get burnout as a parent. What do you do when you have burnout as a parent? What do you do when you are a single parent and you have burnout? So let's get the conversation started. I know I said that about 3 times. So anyway, caregiver. Generally speaking, medical caregivers, it can range anything from caring for someone with a speech delay all the way down to 100% total vegetative state. In both of those situations, burnout can happen. And the thing about it is that I don't want anybody to feel like, you know what, my burnout is because my kid is autistic, but I shouldn't feel so burnt out because so and so has two autistic children. Like, this is not we as a society, and sometimes as women, we got to one up the trauma. We have to one up the pressure, one up everything. And y'all, we shouldn't do that. It doesn't matter. Someone who has a child with a speech delay could be so burnt out because of all the things that we're going to be talking about. So you're a patient. Okay, Lakeisha. Okay. Good perspective. I'm glad. So Lakeisha says, I'm not a caregiver, I'm a patient. I like the fact that okay, Pam. Yeah, let me put y'all know I talk with these old raggedy hands. My hands are not raggedy. I don't speak craziness over myself. But anyway, I wanted perspective of someone that's also a patient, because that's very important. Yes. What do you do as a single parent that's burnt out? I'm gonna help you. Because one thing about me, I've always been really, really, and someone can't say always. I've tried to be very mindful throughout my life of my limitations. When I needed a nap, I went and took a nap. When I needed, when enough, like, I acknowledge enough is enough or whatever. So I'm not speaking about anything, especially when it comes down to being a parent. I was a single parent at one time. So I'm not speaking about something that I don't know. So Pam is clowning me. She says, no sign language, little sister. Girl, y'all know I talk with my hand and everything. So the first thing that I wrote down was knowledge. Education, knowledge, understanding who and what you're caring for eliminates. You guys leave a comment down below, those of you that have actually worked in the field. Understanding the patients and children and child development and everything, I'd say eliminates half the stress. Because the truth of the matter is, if I had a kid, or if I was a caregiver for an Alzheimer's patient, and I have zero education, it's just my father and he's got Alzheimer's and I'm going to take care of him, and I'm just winging it, I'm going to be frustrated because what I think is working is not going to work. I'm not going to have any knowledge. I may even get mad because he's forgetting things because I'm uneducated. So I encourage you. Let's do this. I encourage you. So for those of you that are, where's my little ticker? I ain't doing all that. Y'all write it down. I ain't doing that. Not doing that. Somebody said, child, your nails always together. Thank you, girl. That was self-care this weekend. I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But knowledge, y'all leave a comment. Let me know how much would that eliminate? I would say up to 50%. I would say when you understand that TBI patient, when you understand those 15 psych patients, I can't go in there. I cannot do it. Monica, my hat's off to you. Yes, each case is different. Okay, so let's get the things. Child, your nails always together. Don't worry. Every case is different. I've always implemented getting boom. Okay. So Monica is absolutely right. Once you know the medical condition, whatever that is, you do have to get to know the patient. I don't care if there's 15 psych patients. I know she didn't approach all of them the same way. I know she didn't. And because they were all presenting different things, different ways, they trusted different providers, they had different ailments. So it can be the same thing with your children. It could be the same thing with your students. I have a lot of people that used to walk in my classroom and say, how the heck would you manage all this? And you look like they don't bother me. Well, number one, become knowledgeable about children, become knowledgeable about the patients that you have. So if it's your sister, your father, whoever, become knowledgeable about everything regarding that you can, right? Regarding their ailment, their disease, their disability, whatever it is. But then coming around the corner is exactly right what Monica said. Even as you're gaining knowledge, your sister, your brother's TBI, your sister's epilepsy, your son's speech impediment, it may present something different. So you have to make sure that your plan is what? Individualized. That's where we get individualized treatment plans from, because and there's an actual job, there's actual people that work in hospitals and facilities that's their job. And I'm telling you, as someone that has done that job, what I did for little Johnny, what I recommended for one patient, you will not recommend for the same patient, because they're two different things. So Monica is absolutely right. And like I said, I love the fact that y'all chime in and keep me going on the right path. It's very challenging. Thank you, Butter Pecan. It's very challenging. Make sure that you continue to chime in and comment on this live, guys, because like I said, I'm looking from the standpoint of being around someone that has always been a caregiver. But and also, you know, of course, I can break it down as a mom, or as a foster mom or whatever. But mainly, I think the topic, when it first came up, that person wanted to know, hey, I'm caring for my older brother. I'm caring for my grandmother. I'm caring for whoever. So this is really the information. But so what Monica said really went with my second point. It's just really understanding what that individual is going through, what it is, because as you're gaining knowledge, the mistake that we'll make is assuming, and even with our children, hey, so-and-so is 15 and they can do XYZ milestone and you can't do that milestone. Or you really should be doing that milestone. Why aren't you doing it? Or my sister is a TBI patient, and this book says that I need to try to take her for a walk. I'm just putting it up, saying something. I need to take her for walks, get her out in nature or whatever. Well, your sister, nature may make your sister anxious. So that may not be the best thing for her, or you may have to make a different approach. So education is so key, but also getting to know the person individually is super, super important, because, you know, that person, the person you're caring for, a song may calm them down. Facing them towards the window may calm them down. Or you may pick up a book, or you might watch a YouTube video, or you might go to a seminar, and someone may give you an idea that you never thought of before. So educate yourself, and be open and willing to say, I need help. That helps you to avoid burnout, especially as parents, as caregivers. So anyway, let's see what she says. I totally agree with you, ladies, because I was a patient. Nice. So she, and those of you that were patients, I do have some things that I'm going to ask you guys to comment on here in a second. One thing I will say when dealing with psych patients on psychotropic medication, you go to bed and there's one person, and in the morning there's a completely different person, incorporate a personal relationship to deal with all the various personalities. You are not lying. I love that. And I think that, oh man, Monica, thank you so much, because I understand psychotropic medications, and y'all, it affects their brain so much, you know, and not even, it depends. Like, some medications will make them so sleepy. Some will get them hype. Some will make them lose their appetite. So you, as a caregiver, to avoid burnout, you need to also understand the medication that your loved ones are on. Understand, hey, write it down. When I gave that medication at 1, it made them do this, this, this. But when I gave it to them at 4, it made them do this, this, this. I need to talk to the doctor, because I like the 4 o'clock response, and I don't want the 1 o'clock. So how can we talk about this? So I didn't even write this down on my notes, but keep a journal. You wanna be an advocate for the people that you are caring for, whether it's like I said, anything from speech, to physical, to mental, to just old age. Keep a portfolio, organize their medication. Organization is another big thing where that will eliminate frustration. If you are not organized, medication over there, this over there, no timer, no clock, no bedtime, no routine, you're going to face burnout because you're unorganized. And the same thing can be said for us as parents. It's tried and true. People can run their homes however they want to run their homes. I don't have anything to say about that. Ultimately, my advice is, though, children need and expect routines. Whether they fight against it, that's between you and them, but you have to consistently keep and maintain a routine. So organization, organize everything to avoid burnout, to avoid always having to look for information, because when you're caring for someone, what you have doctor's appointments. When I used to do home visits, I was working for early intervention. I went into this one woman's home and I loved it, because these are the homes where the children were, where the parents were on top of it, but they seemed to be less stressed. That's what I'm trying to say. But this woman, as soon as you walked into her living room, she had this huge, a huge, probably like the size of school, blackboard that was Pinterest worthy. I'm telling you. And the child was severe, like it had, some severe ailments. But I'm telling you, sister had Monday through Friday. She had appointments, food, where they were going, grocery list. Listen, I walked in there and I was like, oh, but it was so, it was such a lovely home to walk into. And I'm just going to be honest with you, all homes that I went into and that I supported, it wasn't always like that, because you felt the stress of the home. You felt the chaos of the home. And it had nothing to do with who they were caring for. And when you're caring for someone, whether if it's a child, your parent, your sister, or whatever, that have, severe, even speech, you want to keep on top of that stuff, and you want to organize and make sure that you're not missing appointments, not missing medication and everything. But I'm telling you, she had that thing on that wall. And like I said, walking into her house, it was one of the homes where I walked in and the meetings went smooth, because it wasn't, okay, what was it? I don't remember. That is chaotic. That will bring burnout, even if it's just mental burnout. It is stressful when you're trying to have a meeting, conduct a meeting, and you can't answer the questions. You don't know what the doctor said last. And then I have my physical therapist trying to ask questions, and you don't remember what the last doctor says or whatever. So, not to beat a dead horse, organize to maintain order, especially the more severe your case is, the more severe the person that you're caring for, you really have to maintain binders, schedules. Like I said, my mom is a caregiver. She has binders for each and every one of her people. All of that. She knows where they're going, how they're going, who they're going, and everything else, in order to help eliminate or minimize burnout. That is one of the other recommendations. Let's see what Monica has to say. It's sad in society that the label put on psych patients that they're crazy, but that's a lie. I've dealt with many, and in their own way, they're the smartest people I've ever met, but just not the norm in society. Period. Point blank. And you know what? Like society, I think I've been guilty, and I try within recent years to really not say so-and-so is crazy, or that I will say, that's crazy. But I try not to say someone that I know for a fact is dealing with the mental issue on any level is calling them crazy, because like you said, it stigmatizes them. It always labels them. And then we feel like we have to approach them and then dismiss them because they can't handle something that's normal. And one thing that I know, even dealing with the most severe patient that I've ever seen, caregivers deal with, these family members and everything, they have good sense. They have good sense about something. Even if it was that blind baby that was sitting in his swing, and when I walked in, or if someone walked in, they heard your voice and they smiled or whatever. or that psych patient knew when Monica came on, knew when she wasn't there, and was acting a certain way until she came back on her shift, and then she had to get that person on task. I know that happens. They are absolutely not crazy. Yes, there are some things that behaviors that they pick up. That's an adverse effect even from medication, but or even that it's soothing. I'm rocking back and forth because it's soothing, or because it's a habit, or because I'm stimming. Whatever it is, educate yourself on what it is, because again, avoiding burnout. You ever see a family member that is really, really ashamed of their special needs child? They want them to stop stimming. They want them to stop spinning. They want them to stop doing this, that, and the other. And it is so frustrating when you're the onlooker, because you're like, they are fine. That is what they do. Like, don't stop them because you think I'm judging you, because I'm not. So, yeah, this is such a good conversation, y'all. I really appreciate, I don't even know who asked for this conversation, but I just wanted to take a small little break to say thank you guys for bringing that up, because it's awesome. They're not crazy. Some, if not all of them, are actually brilliant. You know what? Think about the different YouTube videos, or the different videos. It doesn't have to be YouTube, where you see different psych patients, or people with autism, or different caregivers, but then they're like amazing at art, or amazing at math, or amazing at whatever it is that they're amazing at. We all have a place in society. I don't care. And it's a shame that a lot of times people are dismissed, and we'll talk about that. Like, when is enough as a caregiver? We're going to talk about that too. Yes, they do. And that's what Butter said. Pam says, hello, everyone. I'm a caregiver and it's rough some days. I will watch replay. Love you. Thank you. Monica says, my patients absolutely loved me. I transitioned into a nursing facility and my residents literally looked for me to come to work. I believe in interaction with them like family. It makes their day. And I'm going to tell you, it not only makes their day, but it makes their family members' day. In recent history, my aunt was in a facility, and I love the fact that there were people that really, interacted with her in that way. I have family members that are nurses, that were, when they were living, they were in the healthcare field as well. And some still living. And that's one of the things that they will say. Like, I treated them like they were, functioning adults, and they love it. They absolutely loved it. And they thrived from it. I sit and have conversations with some of them, and most of them have been scarred mentally. Yes. And they just want a voice. When I was doing the same job and I moved over to adults, and I had a couple of adults, it was very interesting when it was time to ask them a question, and boom, mom wants to come in and answer. I don't care how asinine you think the answer is going to be. Again, we're talking about avoiding burnout. Part of your burnout might be is just let them go and let them answer, no matter what it is. When you're doing their goals and aspirations, some of them, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a movie star. I want to be a doctor. Write it down. Let them dream. They still, I can't enforce that enough, because again, we're talking about avoiding burnout. So I'm going to, bring it back to that. Part of your frustration, part of your burnout is the fact that you're dismissing who they are as humans. I've seen stories where someone, some of the members, patients or whatever would be like, oh, I want to be a doctor. That person may never be a doctor. We know that, but guess what? There may be a doctor in the community that will give that child that dream, give that adult that dream to come in, dress up, all of that. And I'm telling you, they'll hold on to that stethoscope for years in that jacket. So allow them to dream, allow them to be as much as you can, as long as it's safe, as long as, safe. That's the best way. Blessed Reborn, I'm a caregiver for elderly, and I found whether or not you are organized, there will be yeah. I was organized, yet I met with stubbornness and controlling tactics. Absolutely, Blessed. I'm going down a list. I'm not saying organization is the end all to be all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is just one thing among other things that if we do, it will help eliminate burnout. Burnout's going to happen. And so that's number 7. What happens when burnout actually happens? So yes, I know that organization will happen. I mean, even when I did my job, like I was very organized. I was very passionate about what I did, but I got burned out. What did I do? And we'll have that conversation. So Andrea, good to see you, sis. My son is autistic. He loves computers. It gets hard sometimes, but I try to hang in there much. Pray needed though. Absolutely, Andrea. And we're here for you. We're absolutely here for you. And again, just like I said on Blessed comment, I don't want you to think that I'm going down these numbers and I'm like, oh, point number 3, if you do this, it's going to end burnout. No, burnout is going to happen. But the severity of the burnout or the frequency of the burnout can definitely be hindered and avoided if you do these things. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. I'm not the exact norm in the facility, and my patients love me so much. I make it a point to make them feel special. I'm a crazy personality wise, but my heart is gigantic. Absolutely. Like, I know so many people that are surrounded by what we call members here. Like, they're members of the Department of Developmental, but they're members, and I know people that work with them, and it gives them great joy, when because they know the music, they know what's hip, they watch memes, they know all of that, and whatever their thing is, we know that they're usually focused on it. Whatever their thing is, I think back to my aunt. My mom was the caregiver for her sister until a couple of years ago when she passed away. But my aunt probably had the mental capacity of, in certain things, do not get me wrong, it changed as she got older. But my point is, she knew wrestling, she knew sports, she knew when you owed her money, she knew when you didn't pay her money. I'm telling you, I don't care how many seizures my aunt had and that memory went and everything else. She did not forget marijuana was invented, and cigarettes. So it's just so funny, especially when I think back on her and her memory, and just thinking about like how we were saying, allowing them to be. So again, I'm not saying if you just be organized and burnout won't happen. Absolutely not. Like, we know these things are going to happen, but the things that Monica and I and Michelle and the different people that are chiming in and talking about, we're not saying burnout won't happen, but we're saying a lot of the frustration and burnout can be minimized. My thing is, what is the definition of normal? So I treat my patients right. Exactly. But yes, they cling to you, and yes, you will get tired being everything to all of them. Facts. Oh, much love, much love, much love. I wish I could send you a super chat, Monica, and a super sticker. You are absolutely right. You do become your everything. And a couple of the points that I'm going to go down the list. And it's so funny because what we're also going to talk about is when they get frustrated, because that can cause burnout when they are frustrated with you or for whatever, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute. When you know that you're their everything, but yet they treat you like crap. Lorraine says, hello. Butter Pecan. It's the frequency of burnout for me, because I put lots of energy and heart into showing them so much love. They call me mom. Oh, Butter, that's so sweet. Oh, and you know what? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we do treat them like family. Someone that I know has a home, and I'm very close to this person, and she has a home, and she's a caregiver for adults. And that's the thing. Like, when I walk in and I talk to them, I'm talking to them. I don't care about whatever is, they still deserve a hello. They still deserve to eat when we eat or whatever, so that is so important. I believe, and I know that they feel the difference, obviously, because no one wants to be mistreated. Like, I don't care what your mental capacity is. You can feel pain. You can feel when someone's not treating you right. all of that. So yeah, this is a good conversation, y'all. If you're just joining in or you're peeking in or you're catching the replay, this conversation started because someone requested it. Again, if you have any questions or things that you would like for us to talk about, drop me an email or leave a comment down below. Hey, Melissa, let's talk about da 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 da. If not, leave a comment down below. I have my email address pinned. But don't forget to like this video. If you are on Facebook, make sure you like the video. Whether you're on Facebook and or YouTube, come on in and let's talk about it. That's what we're doing. I've had folks treat me like crap after I give them the best care. We're going to talk about that, Blessed. We're going to talk about that. I pray for continued strength for you beautiful ladies that are in the caregiving profession. And you know what, Sunshine? The profession. But what about when it's your family member? What about when it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your child, your whatever? Because then that's a whole nother layer of your emotional investment that goes on here. Because one thing that I know is that, you know, then there's that challenge to say, I'm not going to give up on this person. I'm not going to put my people in a nursing home. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. What happens when the caregiver can't do certain things or whatever? So this is why we're having this conversation. Let's talk about it. Thanks so much, sis, everyone. I understand, Miss Melissa. Thank you for caring. Absolutely. There's always Miss Chantel. Take me home with you. Prayer goes out to y'all. Y'all have a godly spirit. I try, child. You took the words out of my mouth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's go to the next thing. Let's talk about this. Like, do I want to talk about that? No, I don't want to talk about that right now. Support groups, support systems. Y'all, that's important. If you are a caregiver, not necessarily, you know, Monica, you chime in, you know, those of you that are actual professionals, I'm sure there's got to be some level of support, even if it's your direct line, right? Your supervisor and everybody else, they have to take, you know, that may be your support system. But definitely as a parent, a sister, whatever, whoever you're caring for, your grandpa, grandma, whatever, Mimi, Medea, you got to have a support system. And sometimes that's going to be a support group for Alzheimer's. That's going to be a Alcoholics Anonymous support group for family members. Whatever it is, you need a group of people that say, basically, I get it. I understand. And it's okay. That will help. Again, it's not going to eliminate burnout. Burnout's still going to come around the corner, even when you leave that support group, but it can help minimize the stress that comes with it. Because here's the thing. Most people don't want to say caring for my mother is very stressful. Most people don't want to say that because they're like, that's my mom. And people feel like I just need to do it happily, especially if you're in certain cultures, you know, you just don't say that like they gave you life. But the truth of the matter is it is stressful. It is stressful to have someone in a home with Alzheimer's and they are runners, or that 3-year-old nonverbal autistic child that you have to put locks all over everything or whatever, or because you don't know. That is stressful. But society sometimes puts out this persona that we have to be perfect. We have to, you know, be these caregivers that go in like Molly McButter and just are happy all the time. Mary Poppins. And the truth of the matter is sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's hard. So yeah, I believe those with special needs are God's special children. Handle them accordingly. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for this beautiful topic. I'm loving this. It truly touches my heart. Me too, Shishi. Me too. Y'all so awesome. Y'all are just really an awesome group of women. I have recently decided to join a support group. Good, Pam. Good. I'm glad that you decided to do that. You know, depending on your culture, I say, will depend on how you accept support groups. So I know that some people like keep our business at home. Whatever we going through, you keep it at home. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, there's a place and a need and a purpose to come around like-minded people to say, hey, my child doesn't speak either, and it's okay. Um, or whatever it is that you're going through. Now, let me help the single moms out. Let me help the people, like I said, if we're just talking about childhood or whatever, it's the same thing. You got to find your people. And we talked about this. I think all of our videos go back to the same thing. Like, you got to find your people. You got to find your support group. And you know what? As a single mom, and even at times when I was a military mom and my husband was flying out places, and my mom may or may not have flew in to support me, whatever, what did I do? That's when I had to bite the bullet and go to put the kids in like hourly drop-off care because he was deployed. So I got an hour here or there or whatever. And I was home with my kids. That's what I did. And then the years that I was close to my neighbors, we supported each other, that type of thing. We should normalize asking for help. And I talked about this before. I always think about the women that end up in jail or whatever because they're at work and the kid is in the car, or they're at the casino or whatever. And I'm like, how do you get to that place where you don't have anyone to call to say, I am going to work? Like, leave a comment down below. I'm sure if my neighbor, and tell me if you're the same way. If my young neighbor, I have a neighbor very close, she's across the street, whatever, but she has a whole host of kids. If she knocked on the door and said, listen, I see you guys, we don't talk, but I have to get to work and I do not want to leave them alone. Do you mind watching my kids? I would rather her knock on my door than to take those kids and leave them in the car. But that message has to spread throughout the entire United States. Like, we have to be okay with being our neighbors' keepers, being our friends' keepers or whatever. And I know I'm speaking from a place because I see some of y'all's posts where it's, some of y'all be going off like, I'm there for you and you're never there for me. Well, guess what? They're not your people. They're not your people. It's the only thing I can say. But there are single mother support groups. There are mothers of teenagers support groups. That is a thing. If you're homeschooling, there's homeschool support groups. There's Alzheimer's, families of autism. Like, there's a support group for everything. I promise you. And so even if it's something where your personal circle, right, they're just trash and none of them support you, whatever, take a chance. Take a chance on a group that your social worker told you about and said, and I don't mean social worker with DCS, but like the hospital. Go to your pediatrician, one or someone that you trust, and say, hey, do you know of a group that I can join that we can meet or whatever? It's out there, y'all. I'm telling you. So find your people. And I'm glad, Pam, that you decided to join a support group. And sometimes it will be a support group of strangers or whatever, but at the same time, it might be your family members. And I've also heard this before. I've heard this countless of times in several different families. You have the one main person caring for the mom, so to speak. And let's say there's 5 other brothers and sisters, or 4 other brothers and sisters, or 1 other brother and sister. You hear the burnout happening because all the siblings aren't carrying their weight to care for their dad or whatever. So that can be a thing too. And I would say in cases like that, you have to just get to the point where you've accepted, okay, I'm the sole provider here. I'm the sole person. They're not going to help. And you know what? If I call them and ask them next week, if they say no, they say no. No big deal. I'm not going to hold them to it. The frustration comes out when we expect people to respond in kind, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. So we got to accept that. People show you who they are. And once they've shown us, the thing is, you can go back and ask, hey, brother, mom has a doctor's appointment. Do you feel like taking her? Hey, sister, Uncle Bobo escapes every morning, every day from 1 to 4. I just need you to take that shift so that I can sleep, please. If they say no, then we go to plan B, C, D. But I feel like the more you network, the more you know, the more you get out, the more support you will have. Because, I tend to believe, as much as I see people complaining about people not supporting, I truly believe that we are a race of people, because I see it in the comment sections when that lady is arrested for leaving her kids. People are like, man, I wish I would have known her. I would have cared for her kids. And it's the same thing. Man, before she killed that autistic child, I wish she would have called me. I wish she would have whatever. So we're talking about avoiding burnout. That's a big thing. You know, how do you, or you should really, really, really begin to dismiss the thought that you are a burden to someone else. So your burden is a burden to someone else. Anybody that's worth their weight in friendship, worth their weight in humanity, or anything, will be able to support you. So Monica was talking about her 15 psych patients, for an example. I'm sure Monica knew which coworker, actually, let's say she had a behavior to deal with, of patient number 14. I'm sure she knew which coworker she could call on to say, number 15 is about to cut up, but I'm stuck here with 14 and I can't leave. I really need help with 15. I know she knew. I know you guys know who you can call on or whatever. So, you know, if you're taking notes, good. If not, catch the replay and take notes. But not number one, but make sure that you're not limiting yourself to feeling like you are a burden. You may be a burden to some people and they have told you that, then they're not your people. It's the same thing with the support. They're not your people. You know, single mom with young children, if you're looking for so-and-so to help you with childcare and this, that, and the other, and all this other stuff, and that person's giving you a hard time, that person's not your person. So that's when you have to look for support, and support is out there. And you just got to look for it. You got to let your pride down sometimes and say, hey, I need help. I need help. God bless you, Pam. It's been more stressful to me lately after losing my mom last year. So I'm pretty much trying to keep myself and my patients together. Nice. Absolutely. Sorry to hear about your mom. And I can see that being an additional stressor as well. Yes, indeed, you are definitely need a support system, because no lie, you will run across patients who actually have family active in their life and pressure you, but the patient is literally mean, etc., but entitled. See, Monica's chiming in support. That's how I was raised, not to talk about it, but I'm going running. Good. Beautifully stated. Thank you. Monica's dropping gems. I have taken care of my grandma for the past 6 years, but this last year her health was really declined. She's 91. Wow. You know, what a blessing. What a blessing, first of all. And I know that it becomes difficult as they become less helpless, less helpful for themselves. So we're going to talk about it. It'll be there. It's probably like point number 4, 5, 6. But Pam, thank you for sharing. Absolutely. You're not alone, y'all. You're not alone. Whether you're dealing with as a single mom, you're not alone. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of times we have to dismiss the foolishness that's on the internet. We stigmatize single moms, whether they're Black or white, Jewish, it don't matter. You know, if you're a single mom, you must have been a hoe and this, and that, and the other, whatever. You're garbage. You know, you're used up. So you go into relationships with insecurities because I have this child and I'm caring for this child or whatever. There's stigmatisms of, you know, how society thinks we ought to take care of our parents. Some cultures believe some things, some cultures believe other things. And so we have to navigate this road by doing what's best for us, doing what's best for your family, period. And, you know, part of that is knowing your limitations. Because here's the thing, just as a caveat, you may not be the person that could take care of your loved one physically, or they can't live with you, or, you know, honestly, the sight of blood makes you sick, or the sight of vomiting makes you sick. But could you provide respite for your family member? So just say, hey, make sure they're washed up, this, and you can go ahead, but hopefully they don't throw up. If they do, I think something will kick in and you'll clean up. But I'm just saying, you understand what I'm saying? You can help that person. The other thing is, you may be out of state. That, you can help provide a nurse, financial support helps with that person that's actually hands-on. So if you're on this live and you're like, you know what, I'm not the active care person, but my sister so-and-so is, or my brother so-and-so is, or grandma so-and-so is caring for these young children or whatever. There are ways that you can eliminate and help minimize the burnout for these people. It doesn't always have to be that you are the actual caregiver. How can I help the caregiver? What can I do financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically to help that person eliminate burnout? Money always helps, because here's the thing: money opens the door for additional nurses, respite, and everything. So as you're listening, you may not be the person that can handle the physical stuff. You may be, and we'll talk about this, but you may have gotten to the point where your back is out and you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, guess what? There's still other things that you can do, even if it's just a little thing. As a caregiver, I can't imagine. Thankfully, my children are well, but a lot of these parents with special needs children with severe, like I've had patients, I'd see them on Friday, by Monday, they're in the hospital. Then I come back out the next Friday, they finally out, and I wouldn't see them again for another 2 weeks. And in and out the hospital, almost died, oxygen, that whole thing. That takes an emotional toll on parents. It takes and here's the thing. My aunt was in hospice. Let me tell you something. Hats off, bow down, and anything else that I can think of to express my gratitude for the awesome hospice nurses. That was my first experience of dealing with hospice on that level. Like, she was really on her way. When I moved here, she was actually fine, not fine, but she wasn't on a decline. But I got here, and then she would be calling me, and she was done. I think she was just done. But anyway, so she declined like severely towards like in a matter of 2 weeks, and she stopped eating, and she kept telling me she wasn't going to eat. She wasn't going to dialysis, and she was done with all y'all. So anyway, my point is, she went into dialysis. She went into hospice, and she didn't stay that long at all. That's how much she declined. But anyway, she was cared for with such compassion. And normally, I'm gonna be honest with you, medical facilities normally creep me out. Like, I'm not a medical person at all. That's just not my thing. But because it causes me great anxiety, like it's hospital smell to me, everything. But anyway, the facility itself was really, really welcoming, and I didn't feel like it was in a hospital, and it was, all that was beautiful. But then the fact that the nurse took her time in her final days, like, we knew it was going to be a day or two, but she still got to know her. She still was asking questions. She still was like, she's so young and all this other stuff. So my hat's off to hospice care nurses. So even if you are in a facility and you're not caring for your loved ones, I know you guys get burnt out, because you're seeing people in there and they're passing away, and you're getting to know family members, and it's a cycle that does not end. So make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. So anyway, Bless says, I had people talk a great supportive game. Just call me anytime. Yet when I take them up on their offer, they never get available. Always an excuse. Trust me, I understand what you're saying. And I'm just telling you, they're not your people. Like, and that's what I'm saying about the conversation that we're having on Thursday. So if you're just joining in, you guys asked for it, and she is here. Kiara Taplin of Healing Footprints will be here on Thursday. We're going to be talking about infant child loss. She is awesome at it, but one of the things that she does is help us reframe those experiences, those memories, and stuff like that. She's amazing. But again, they're just not your people. Your community, your people may actually come from absolute strangers. Your support may come from absolute strangers. That hospice nurse, that nurse that's at the hospital, the coordinator, and you think, wow, I would think that it would come from my sister or it would come from so and so. Not all the time, y'all. Not all the time. And that's what will cause burnout, because instead of looking at other avenues, we're looking in the place where we think it should come from. And so we're frustrated. So yeah, that part. Bless says, Reborn Spirit, hugs and prayers. Butter Pecan says, you're such a gem. Thank you, Butter. I knew my patients like clockwork, kind of, sort of, why I got burnt out. No lie. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you built for it, if that makes sense. You're built for it. It's a difference between burnt out, to me. It's a difference between, there's a difference between being burnt out because you're ill-equipped, uneducated, impatient, all those other negative things. There's another thing when you're burnt out because you're giving your all into something. That's a whole nother burnt out that you can bounce back from. That's a matter of self-care. That's a matter of letting go and leaving work at work. I love it. I'm an empath. I feel the people out. Good. Bless says, so we're loving on each other. Butter's like, oh man, I know. I believe in caring for people properly and putting that in the universe, because one day I'll need to be cared for, period. It's just a human right. And I think that's kind of like hospice's mantra, where it's like people have a right to have their final days be how they want it to be, whatever that looks like for them. My aunt in her final days, if she wanted KFC, because she wouldn't eat anything else, guess what? She gonna eat KFC. You want donuts? Eat the doggone donuts. And so it's the same thing, kind of like when you're dealing with other things. Like you have this kid, they're going into heart surgery. The doctor says, you know what? Give them whatever it is they. My internet, don't cut up now. Don't do that on this live. So anyway, yeah, it's just a matter of respect. It's a matter of human decency and respect, and treating each other the way we want it to be treated. Like, we're on our block, whatever that looks like. And but I know you guys, like, just the amount of people, like you guys as my tribe, my supporters, our girls, my sisters. I know you guys enough to know if single mom, so and so knocks on your door or whatever. And I'm being extreme, right? I'm not saying just go up and just ask anybody to watch your child. I'm not saying that. But in a case of an emergency, I know if, I can kind of, let's be honest, if you're a nosy neighbor, I kind of know the houses in front of me. I know old boy next door. I know what's going on. So in an emergency, I would rather that parent that I was talking about, I would rather her knock on my door and say, I need help, versus trying to risk it all and leave the kid in the car. Come on. Let's normalize that. So we're giving love to Monica. Monica's giving love back. This is so good, y'all. Praying on borrowed time. Absolutely. Okay, now, Lakeisha, I know I was telling the internet or whatever you buffering, don't play with me. So support. Find a support group. And again, if you're looking for support where you think it should come from, don't get frustrated, because it may need to come from somewhere else. And you know what? Even in this chat, there are people that have already reached out and said, if you need any help, call me. Or I know about that. Believe it or not, you guys are supporting me as I'm doing this live. Like, I'm doing this live and I'm conducting this live, but you guys are supporting me. So, because you do have some people, they would have just did a video and then y'all would have commented down below. But I love the live interaction, and it's the same thing. Find the support, but also don't get frustrated when the support isn't coming from where you think it should or where you feel it should, because it doesn't. That's me, Melissa. If my grandma wants KFC, I'm giving it to her. And me and her just sit and laugh. She says the doctor's going to get us. You know what, Pam? Especially if she's not eating anything else. I mean, we know what that means in their older age and stuff like that. If that's what she wants, I'm all for it. If she wants to sit up and watch sports or do this, it's her life. It's her final days. And I think about it. I think about let's go into this part. I think about when my aunt, because at one point she was very conscious or whatever, and then you know how it goes towards the end of life. And I was thinking about how there is often reported how patients can be very, very difficult, especially towards the end of their lives, and or sometimes, until they are really tired or whatever. But my point is, as a caregiver, part of, I'm not saying avoiding burnout, but kind of minimizing the burnout in getting to know your patient, or getting to know your mother, getting to know your father, whatever it is that they're going through. Did I put it in here? Y'all know I'm always finding something. Yes, I did. Read this. When you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their own internal struggle, you learn grace. It's not about you. So what am I saying? Your mother, your grandmother, your 15 psych patients, all of that, they're going to get difficult. They're going to have attitudes and everything. My aunt used to listen. My mother would go do whatever she wanted her to do. When she would get her to KFC and everything, she'll cuss my mother out from one end to the other. And then she'll call her, I'm sorry, or whatever. And we would laugh about it like it was a running joke. And my mother would get so frustrated, and then she'd nod, and then, we'd laugh about it or whatever. But that situation is so common. I mean, you could even think about children, like, that nonverbal autistic kid, they go through everything, tearing up the classroom, all this other stuff, but then they want to love on you, hug on you, and everything else. It can be difficult. Those 15 patients that Monica had, they weren't great days all the time. What do you do when you realize, like, hey, they're having a bad day? Do you take it personal? Well, when I saw this, it made me think of what we're talking about. When you learn that that person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle. So what internal struggle? Like, okay, the Alzheimer's patient, there it's an internal struggle with what the hell is going on. I knew what I was talking about an hour ago, and they're telling me that I'm mumbling. They're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. They took my driver's license. They're telling me what to eat now. I gotta bathe when she say bathe, and I don't, where's my wife or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? What are you getting happy tears? See, y'all gonna make me cry. And then, so we have to make sure that we get out of ourselves as caregivers. Get out of ourselves and really think about what that person is going through. I think about someone else that's very close to me, and she ended up passing away. And but she was kind of difficult in her last days. Like, can you imagine? And even if you're going through this, I can't imagine knowing, outside of believing God and all this other stuff, like next month you're slated to die or whatever. No one's going to be walking through the tulips all day, every day, happy, go lucky. So you, as a caretaker for that person in their final days, they're going to be cranky because they're tired of pissing on themselves. They're going to be cranky because they're tired of you telling them what to do and how to go and everything else. They're going to be cranky because they may fall out the bed or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna get to that point, Bless, and I'm gonna tell you. So, a lot of these things, it's their internal struggle with what it is that they're dealing with. Imagine a normal baby, a standard baby that's growing, and they're nonverbal, right? They don't have words yet. Imagine when they're frustrated, they get to whining, throwing stuff, doing all this stuff. Couple that with an autistic child that I'm not going to say will never, but doesn't have the language skills, doesn't even know what's going on. Like, that's frustrating. Now, Bless came in with the comment and said, I agree with I agree with the saying, but I would not put up with verbal, emotional, or physical abuse. That's not grace. I hear what you're saying, but I know those of you that care for people that don't know any better. Okay? I know that you can chime in and explain and support what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying, Bless. But here's the thing. I'm not going to hold my aunt who was dealing with epilepsy and God knows whatever else. God rest her soul. She never hit my mother that I know of. But if she was frustrated and cussed her out or whatever, it's a thin line between abuse and whatever. Now, absolutely, cognitively, she knew exactly what she was doing. But it's the same thing with that nonverbal child, that Alzheimer's patient that's cussing you out because they think they're in war and they're really not. That's where grace has to happen, because I'm not talking about a standard child. I'm not, for lack of a better term, I'm not talking about just your regular mom when she's 50 and she's cussing you out. No, I'm talking about someone that has been deemed incompetent one way or another. And it's going to happen. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to hold someone that's deemed incompetent. Now, here's the thing. That's where education comes from. Back to my original point. If you educate yourself, and someone else comes to mind, because certain kids, certain situations, they become, some of it, hold on, because I'm reading the comments. Some of it has to do with them growing, because you got to remember, you have someone with the mental capacity of a 12-year-old or autism infant, but these are big 30, 40, 50-year-old people. So yes, sometimes abuse and physical abuse does come into play, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm not going to hold, you got to apply, in my opinion, grace applies and abounds 100%. Because God forbid, I'm not going to hold my patient who's autistic, who might have pulled my hair as I was sitting on her couch, coordinating services for her. I'm not going to hold that child to the same standard that I will hold my child who's 12. I can't do that. Let's see what everybody's saying. Preach, Melissa, I shall. Some of it also has to do with the illness, meds, and loss of power over their lives. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. Y'all, we have to apply grace. It's that, you know what? You don't have to apply grace. I can't tell you what you have to do. I don't do that on my channel. What I do is give you advice, and from my experience. Now, don't get me wrong, and we can talk about this, because again, the last point is, what happens when you do have to give up as a caretaker? When the situation is, I got this 6'9" violent person, and they're violent because of their meds. They're violent because of the loss of power. They're violent because of whatever. What do I do then as someone that's 5'2"? We'll talk about that in a minute. But specifically speaking, yes, we have to apply grace, because you put yourselves in their shoes. I can't imagine. Just like I want, as a caretaker, you want grace applied to you. You want grace applied that you're tired and you didn't move when that person said move and bring me da 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 da. You overslept. That can, and we're going to talk about it. That can bring feelings of guilt, because here I am, this person's caretaker, and they don't have nothing else in life. All they want is McDonald's, and I just didn't feel like it today. I said, nope, I'll give it to them tomorrow. Just like I want grace applied there. The flip side of that is, guys, I personally think we cannot hold, someone with autism and all this other stuff to the same accountability, to the same standard. Now, if we know that person knows better, then that's where, again, education, ABA therapy comes in, all of that. There's behavior modification, all of that. I'm just saying. twice a child, once an adult in life. That's why I treat them correctly, because one day though, I'm tired. I know it's going to be a situation in my life. Absolutely. 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 And that's what I'm talking about. Like, and we'll talk about it because I have it written down, but I understand what Bless is saying, but at the same time, this isn't that. That's not what we're talking about. Um, and sometimes it does get to that point. But again, that's when we get to point number 7. When is enough enough? When can I not care for this person anymore? So, support group. Here's a big one. And this can talk to you guys that we talked about, those of you that have kids, because I said this can apply. Self-care as much as possible. I'm huge on self-care. Anybody that know me that come in this house and your kids come in this house, I'm telling you right now, of course, it's according to the age and the stage that the child is in. But frustration as a parent, frustration as a caregiver, frustration and burnout can be so minimized when you allow these individuals to care for themselves as much as they can. So for an example, I know people who think that their child with Down syndrome is a death sentence and they can't do nothing. And that is not true. Now, there may be some things that they got to need help opening, or they may need help with this, they may need help with that. But total dependence? Absolutely not. That will, and it's the same thing with your children. There are certain things that an infant can or can't do, a 1-year-old can or can't do. But also that 3-year-old, that 4-year-old, that 10-year-old, an autistic child. Again, that's when you go back to my first point. Educate yourself about what resources are available. Because with the resources, you have rehabilitation. They habilitate individuals to learn how to tie their shoe. It may take all freaking year. That's their goal, but they're going to tie their shoe. They're going to learn how to brush their teeth. They have jobs. They have all of that. But all of that helps to eliminate the frustration. Like I said, I know someone that cares for individuals, and they have a lot of individuals. If that person took on everything and did everything for all of them, instead of teaching them they take pleasure in taking out the trash, checking the mail, loading the dishwasher, all this other stuff. If that's what they take pleasure in, allow them to do it. Because it eliminates the burnout. Because if you taking care of trash for all these adults now, or your special needs child, or whatever, allow them to do and be however their level of development will allow them to be, because it takes the burden, a little bit of the burden off you. I'm gonna keep preaching. You need to know your limits. We're gonna get to that. My friend's son has Down syndrome. I have to hold my wig around him, but he loves pulling hair. Listen, Pam, you understand what I'm saying? And that's the thing, Pam, the whole wig. Listen, Pam Alfred said, Lord, not the wig. So that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to criminalize this person and says, oh my goodness, it's abuse, or it's whatever. Like, I'm sure you work on it and you're like, no, but I don't care. If that's his thing and he hasn't learned to modify that behavior, I know you apply grace there, because you can't hold him to the same standard of my child walking up to you, snatching your wig. Absolutely. You better get with my child. I care for myself. It's the best care. Thank you, Lakeisha. Thank you for that comment. It's the best care. It builds their esteem. They and it's so funny, because then there's times when you have someone that you are caring for, when you know that they could do something, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I can't do that no more. That may be an attention moment or whatever, but ultimately speaking, we're talking about avoiding burnout. And again, burnout's going to happen. I'm not saying all 7 points, burnout's not going to happen and your life will be changed forever. No, we're talking about minimizing burnout as much as possible. So when you have individuals that, now, of course, some of the patients that come to mind, Ain't no self-care. Like, they're on G2 feet, this oxygen, whatever. Obviously, the kid can't do anything but lay there. But, some of you are caring for the 91-year-old grandmother or whatever. If grandma can eat that KFC and don't need you feeding her with a spoon and all of that, don't insult her and be feeding her with a spoon, because that's going to frustrate you and her. And half the time, that's where them spicy, sassy moments happen, because she's like, don't feed me. I'm fine. I mean, God forbid. My mother, thank God, she's not, I don't know if she would be considered elderly. She's not elderly, but she's older. And it's so funny because sometimes we like, Mom, sit down. She's like, no, I've been standing up the whole time. Or I'm fine, or whatever. Mom, sit here, or whatever. And you have to respect that. Like, especially if, you have someone that is able, if you're caring for someone or you're around someone and they're still able to do for themselves, that is a point of not just pride, but that just says, hey, I'm still in the game. Like, don't, and I think you have to respect that. You must find that space to care for yourself. Okay, so you teaching my live now. Okay, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. You're absolutely right. You have to find a space to care for yourself, or you won't be able to care for no one else. Yep, that is point number 4. We're getting there. I never get upset with him. I love him because he doesn't understand. Exactly. Grace. Not the wig, Pam. Girl, Pam get her wig snatched every Thursday. I meditate. It's part of my self-care. Y'all moving down the point, the list. That's okay. I love it. I stay getting my woosah on. It literally helps with the burnout. Thank you, Butter. Thank you for chiming in. So again, the self-care and the self-help for them. The next point is, I think I touched on it a little bit, is removing the guilt. And I'll touch on it a little bit more. As a parent, as a sibling, especially as a parent that gave birth to this child that might have whatever ailment. Like, I've seen parents have complete and total meltdowns because their kids aren't talking and they need services or speech therapy. I've seen shame and guilt behind IEPs and all this other stuff. I don't play that, not around me. And it's the same thing with removing the guilt. Sometimes people have guilt because they're a single parent and their child's not raised in a single parent in a home with a mom and dad. And oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I should have stayed with dad, all this other stuff. Remove the guilt, y'all. It is what it is. Life happens. And you focusing on that guilt does nothing but makes it just adds pressure. It's just a layer of pressure that you don't need. So an example, again, if you're caring for your mother, you're caring for your father. This is what my understanding is, what I've seen when people are caring, and even when they're caregivers. Sometimes there can be survivor's guilt. Sometimes it's guilt because my kid is, I don't want to say normal, but my kid doesn't have these problems or whatever. Remove the guilt, but also remove the guilt from when you just can't do something. So barring something being an absolute emergency, let's say you care for your uncle or grandpa, and every day grandpa, he's got Alzheimer's and he wants to walk every single day, and it has to be at 6 o'clock. And for whatever reason, you're running late and he may not get that walk. You might really feel bad about that because that's part of his routine and all this other stuff. Well, at that point, life just came in and said, boom, bam, 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 bam. And it's just not going to happen. Don't hold on. Don't feel guilty about that. Because it's a circumstance that's outside of your control. You might have a situation that was within your control, but you still shouldn't feel guilty. Guilty adds a layer of just ickiness that's just not conducive to being a productive human, especially if you're caring for somebody. You do not want to care for anyone from a place of guilt, whether it's your own children, whether it's, the people that you're caring for or whatever. Just remove the guilt. Respite. So you guys chime in. Accept respite. Accept that you will need a break. If you are fortunate enough to have family members that can provide respite, so like it's dad and all five of y'all are taking turns taking care of dad, that's the ideal situation. Um, if you are like Monica, and Monica, she talked about having her 15 psych patients and working and whatever. And let's say a 4-day weekend or your days off aren't enough and you just really feel a burnout, get you some time off. You have to take the time to take a break from it all when you are a caregiver, because caregiving is so unique in that in any capacity, whether you're the mom, whether you're caring for someone that has an ailment, a child, in any capacity, what you're saying is, I have enough within me to pour into someone else. And not only pour into someone else, I have enough in me to carry someone else. So you have to take a break. And if you don't know, there's so many agencies, depending on what's going on in your life or whatever. Generally speaking, there's places where you can provide respite, depending on your situation and all of that. But respite is huge, and it's very, very important for you to make sure that you're finding moments for self-care. And so if you can't get family to be respite, then you might need to hire a respite provider, someone that is what they do. They come in and they provide you a break so that you can go take a nap if you need to, or you go to the mall, go out of town, whatever. It just depends on what your situation is. And the same thing goes for you as single moms. I know that when it comes even to being a caregiver, but also being single moms, it's like, I'm a superwoman and I'm going to do it all. Sometimes that's where mommy's little helpers come in, or the teenager at the church come over. Even if you don't leave that child with the teenager, just sit here, be with the kid. I've seen it be done so many times. I probably had a few teenagers come over from the church or whatever, so I can go take a nap because dad's deployed. I got these two babies, whatever the situation is. So again, I think people are more inclined to help than not. It's just, you got to find your people. And whether that's actual professional respite providers, community, or whatever. We might need the care one day. Absolutely, Pam. We might need the care one day, and you will reap what you sow. And that's just life. That's on life. So make sure that you're taking breaks. And if you're, your Alzheimer's dad, again, don't remove the guilt. If you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have this stranger come in and take care of my dad or whatever. When you find somebody that's awesome and you trust them, then that should help, again, remove the guilt. You should not feel guilty for needing a break. You're going to need a break. So here's the end all to be all. What do you do? Well, what I said was, know when enough is enough. And that can mean anything. Now, when you go into being a caregiver for children, whatever, Alzheimer's patients, whatever the severity or not, my point number one was knowledge and understanding and educating yourself about whatever the ailment is. What is it, the possible symptoms, what it is that they may be going through or whatever. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, there may be some times in life where you just can't be the caretaker no more. I try not to judge parents that decide that they're going to put their kids in facilities because they can no longer take care. Because I do know children can outgrow their parents. And, if you know anything about special needs people, people with certain special needs, it's like they have strength from out of nowhere. Like, it's strength from God. So if you have that child and then here they are with the strength of Goliath, yeah, it might become too much. You might not, that ABA's behavior modification and guidance and all that may not work because you are 5'2" and he's 6'9". What do you do? What if you are older and you're taking care of your dad, but turning him over to change him, you're back. You can't transform for him no more. All of that. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but ultimately we have to know our limitations as humans, because especially when you're talking about caring for older people and you're older, or caring for a younger person with an astronomical amount of violent behavior or strength, or you just can't do it. What do you do after you've expounded all the education, you got your support and all this other stuff, but it's becoming a risk, it's becoming it's a health hazard for that person and or you? The first thing that I would say is get to the point where you have peace about whatever the decision is that you need to have. Because we're talking about avoiding burnout, but then sometimes it's unavoidable to make this next step where I have to place this person in a facility or get additional help. So once you find that peace in that decision, I believe everything else will come along. There won't be any guilt because you've already settled within your heart. I love this person. This is the best for them. I'm going to feel sad in this moment. I'm going to feel whatever I'm feeling in this moment, but this needs to happen. If you're truly convinced that it needs to happen. If you're not quite sure, like if this is the next step, then that's when I would continue to say, educate yourself, surround yourself with people that are going through the same exact thing, but also finding that support, because that person, that support system can probably give you ideas on how to keep the person in the home, or keep the person, keep you still supporting that person in any way or whatever. So there's many things that we can do before we get to the point where enough is enough. Although, like I said, in certain situations, it's a matter of health, safety, and that's on that. We something has to change now, or else I'm going to get hurt, or this person's going to get hurt. And it's not even a matter of anything else other than that. So so those are my points. That's pretty much what I had. Leave a comment down below if you are catching the replay, or if you have anything else on this topic that you wanted to add. You guys have been very, very interactive with this, and it was a good subject. It was something that came up from somebody. I don't even remember, but I wanted to make sure that that person was honored properly and in doing that. So again, before I close out, make sure you tune in on Thursday, 4 o'clock on the West Coast, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. You guys asked for this also. Dealing with the loss of a child, whether it's an infant, a child, and any loss. Honestly, she's a grief specialist. She's the founder of Healing Footprints. And she will be the one to really get this conversation going. And so join us live on Thursday for sure. But in the meantime, I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm not sure what we'll talk about. I have some things in mind, but I wanted to just really give this topic justice. And like I said, being a caregiver is so much responsibility, whether you are a parent, whether you're caring for someone that's older than you, or they're younger than you, and or someone with the physical, emotional, or if that's your career, it's all the same thing. All these things that I applied, and I'll go through them real quick. All these things apply. And does that mean burnout will never happen? No, that does not mean burnout will not happen. What I'm saying is to avoid burnout, to minimize burnout, to eliminate certain aspects of burnout. Absolutely. These things will help. So what were they? Generally speaking, catch the replay. But number one, acknowledge. Knowledge. If you're stressed and there's nothing wrong. Again, we're talking about parents. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this kid didn't come with the manual. I don't know what to do. I need to take child development courses, or I need to read a book, or I need to ask so-and-so. As we have a breakdown of the family and the village and all of that, there's so many things that I feel that are being lost. And I think one of the things that's being lost is the handing down of tradition. So like when we had our kids and when our mothers had us and so on and so forth, there were certain things that was said and that was passed down. And we decided whether we were going to accept it or not. Don't take the baby outside because of this or that, whatever. That's kind of lost, especially now, with teenagers and stuff. Like, these teenagers are near about adults at this point. The way they act, some of them. So don't be afraid to acknowledge your limitation, to acknowledge your knowledge, limited knowledge about a subject or an ailment or whatever. But once you have that knowledge, once you have that education, individualize, understand, get to know your person, your people on an individual basis. The next thing we talked about was finding support group. If you have it in your head because your culture, we keep our business in our house and all this other stuff, that's not going to be helpful. I'm telling you right now. The next thing, self-care. As much as the person that you're caring for, the people that you're caring for, that they can do on their own. Here's the thing. If they can open a soda bottle, they can open the bottle to their mouthwash or whatever it is that they can do for themselves. The next thing, remove the guilt. One way, shape, or form, guilt is not healthy. It needs to go. Respite. Get a break. Find a break. And the next one is know your limitations. Know when to just say, this just isn't working out for me for whatever reason. I need help to figure out how to make it work, or I need help to figure out how to find alternative care for my loved one. So with that being said, my friends, I hope that this topic really, really encouraged you as a provider and even as a patient. Like, we had patients in our chat. And so hopefully that it really assisted both sides to be better for one another, to be better to one another, and just apply grace. Let's put this up. When you finally learn a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle than you learn grace. Because it's very easy to say, hey, Bob with Alzheimer's is really treating me mean because he doesn't like me, versus he doesn't know what he's doing, So, yeah. So I'm getting a lot of love yous. We might need care one day. We love enough to accept, help, and support. You're right, sis. Good night, beautiful ladies. Yes, being a caregiver can be very stressful. I'm a caregiver for my mom daily. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Pam, I am correct. Good night, sisters. Good night, my sisters. Overeating, watching Melissa's lives. Love y'all. I'm about to head to the gym. So y'all, as always, thank you for a lovely, lovely, awesome conversation. Make sure, if you know anyone that's either the patient or the caregiver, but especially the caregiver, please share this video. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye, sisters.